Chosen one, stop what you are doing right now. Do not scroll past this message. I am not asking you to listen. I am warning you. What I am about to expose was sealed in the courts of heaven until this exact second. You are currently standing at the most dangerous intersection of your life, and the enemy has set a trap to make you miss a door that is opening today. That quiet exhaustion you have been carrying in your bones, the kind of tired that sleep cannot fix. The heavy fog in your mind that makes you feel like you are moving in slow motion. You thought you were just getting older or losing your edge. The world told you to try harder and said you just needed more discipline. Do not believe that lie. That is not a lack of willpower. That is intense spiritual interference aimed directly at your receiving condition. Your spirit is exhausted because it is trying to operate a vessel that has been compromised. The enemy knows he cannot stop the blessing God has arranged for you. So he attacks the receiver. He attacks your clarity, so you do not even see the door when it opens. Now I want to pause and hold something in front of you before we continue. Over the past few years, something has been discovered in research laboratories that most people who care about these things have never been told about. Not because it contradicts what is sacred, but because it came from a direction most of us are not watching. A small group of neuroscientists found something about the way the human brain is designed that explains why you feel this mental distance. It traces back to a Nobel Prize discovery, yet it is so simple it sounds almost suspicious. I am going to tell you exactly what they found later in this message. But right now, I need you to hold one specific question in your spirit. What if the reason your mind feels foggy is not a character flaw, but a theft at the neural level? And what if the thief can be locked out today? Let me reframe your reality right now, because you have been reading the signs backwards. You thought the delay in your life meant you were left behind. You watched others build wealth and find easy connections while you carried a heavy burden. That heaviness is not a punishment, but the weight of a generational assignment. The enemy does not fight ordinary people this hard. He only deploys this level of interference when a cycle breaker is about to change the bloodline permanently. When you were a child, you had a direct and clear connection to the divine frequency. Your intuition was sharp, and your mind could hold the vastness of heaven without fatigue. But the world was designed to systematically suppress that original clarity. The constant noise and the toxic environments were weapons used to slowly disconnect you from your innate spiritual architecture. It was a calculated theft at the neural level, designed to make you forget how powerful you actually are. What felt like cruel isolation was actually divine incubation. Heaven had to pull you away from the crowd because their frequencies were too low for what is being built inside you. God isolated you to protect your mind from distractions that could not travel with you to this next dimension. The exhaustion you feel is just your spirit working overtime to guard a dormant power. The enemy is desperately trying to keep that power asleep. You are not broken, but simply operating a massive spiritual engine on a restricted frequency. This is why heaven is providing an anchor for your breakthrough right now. You have been faithful in the quiet, and you have extended grace when others deserved your anger. Heaven documented every single moment of your silent obedience. But the next chapter of your destiny requires more than just passive endurance. It requires a fully restored vessel capable of holding massive blessings. You cannot step into a season of unprecedented abundance if your mind is too clouded to recognize the doors when they open. Do not let your mind wander, because the darkness fears what you carry. It wants you to leave before you hear the rest of this truth. You are a demonstrated warrior of light, and your survival alone is a profound victory over hell. Coming up, I will show you exactly how the spiritual realm operates through your physical mind and how to reclaim the capacity that was stolen from you. Now here is where it goes deeper, and this is the part the enemy does not want you to understand. There is a spiritual law that governs every major breakthrough in the unseen realm. Heaven does not just send a blessing, it prepares a receiver to hold it. When God is about to shift your entire reality, the enemy cannot attack the provision because the provision is protected by heaven. So the darkness attacks the only thing it can reach, which is your capacity to receive. It sends noise and heavy interference to scramble your internal frequency. Look at the greatest cycle breakers in spiritual history. Before Joseph stepped into power, he was subjected to profound isolation and betrayal that made no logical sense. Before Elijah called down fire, he sat under a tree completely exhausted and asked for it all to end. They were not failing, and they were not weak. Their physical vessels were simply overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of the spiritual warfare surrounding their destiny. Heaven had to send an angel to feed Elijah and let him sleep because the physical body must be sustained to carry a divine assignment. Your current exhaustion is no different than theirs. The pressure you feel in your chest and the fatigue behind your eyes are the exact same symptoms of a spirit fighting massive unseen battles. You are a watchman on the wall, and your soul has been absorbing the shockwaves of attacks meant for your bloodline. But a watchman cannot stay awake forever if the physical mind is clouded. Heaven understands that your physical vessel needs absolute restoration before the next massive door opens. This brings us to a profound truth that bridges the sacred and the physical. Your brain is not just biological tissue, it is the physical receiver for divine frequency. When the two hemispheres of your mind are perfectly aligned, you operate in a state of continuous revelation. You hear the whispers of the Holy Spirit with absolute clarity, and you recognize the traps of the counterfeit before they even fully form. The enemy knows that a synchronized chosen one is a weapon he absolutely cannot defeat. Listen carefully, because this is going to reach places inside you that you have never been able to put into words. The mental distance you have been living with is the direct result of your physical receiver being deliberately disrupted. But what heaven is about to reveal is the exact blueprint to repair that disruption. Stay with me here, because the next layer is where many powerful people lose themselves. You are about to understand how the spiritual attack on your mind can be reversed permanently. This is where it gets confrontational. You have been fighting a spiritual battle with a physical weapon that has been dismantled. The enemy did not steal your calling. He stole the neurological bridge that allows you to access it. When your mind is fragmented, your prayers hit a brass ceiling and your intuition gets clouded by earthly noise. You are not losing your faith. You are operating a profoundly powerful spiritual engine on a broken physical receiver. Now I want to close the loop that has been open since the beginning of this message, because I told you there was something discovered in research laboratories that I was going to come back to, and I want to tell you now why I waited until this moment to bring it forward. What they found is not just information, it is a solution. And a solution only becomes useful once you understand the full shape of the problem it solves. You now understand the shape of the theft. In 1981, a study won the Nobel Prize that most people sitting in spiritual communities have never been told about. Not from a church, but from a research laboratory. Dr. Roger Sperry proved that the human brain operates in two hemispheres designed for absolute synchronization. When those hemispheres are synced, the mind achieves whole brain activation. Research shows that 98% of children operate at this creative genius level, but less than 1 in 1,000 adults maintain it. This is the great swindle of our lifetime. The modern way of life systematically suppresses this genius state from the time we are born, rendering it mostly deactivated. Your powers and your destiny have been stolen from you at the neural level. The exhaustion you feel is not a spiritual failure. It is a physiological reality. The enemy used the noise of this world to gradually erode the connection between the two sides of your mind, so you could no longer hear the divine frequency clearly. A woman from California described what it felt like before she found the answer to this exact problem. She had tried everything from intense prayer to journaling and every practice her community offered, but she kept arriving at the same frustrating experience. She believed the sacred words, but she could not feel the reality behind them in her physical body. After just 10 days of repairing her receiver, she said something cleared. A channel that had been blocked was suddenly open, not because she tried harder, but because the receiver had been restored. A man from Texas described something incredibly similar. He was someone who had spent years holding things together for everyone around him, while his own interior life became thin and distant. He said his prayer life had started to feel like talking into a blank wall. The divine frequency was right, but his internal receiver was turned off. 2 weeks after fixing this neurological disconnect, he woke up and described his mind as running on full capacity. The heavy fog that had been so consistent he stopped registering it as fog was completely gone. What both of them experienced was not a random miracle. It was a deliberate, physiological restoration of their spiritual capacity. They stopped treating their exhaustion as a character flaw and started treating it as a measurable condition that has a specific address. That is because of what a specific team of neuroscientists spent years building. A team of neuroscientists, led by Dr. Daniel Barone in New York, took over an hour of clinical neural sync technology and compressed it into an 8-minute targeted auditory sequence. 8 minutes a day with your eyes closed is the entirety of the physical requirement. They call it the Genius Switch. The Genius Switch is not a meditation app or a sound frequency designed to put you in a particular mood. It is specifically engineered to reconnect the two hemispheres of your brain and restore the whole brain activation that was your default state in childhood. If you have used binaural beats or brainwave products before and found them underwhelming, Dr. Barone addresses this directly. Sound waves alone are incomplete because they target only a fraction of the picture. What he and his team built targets hemisphere synchronization at the whole brain level using a multi-layer protocol developed from years of clinical refinement. That is a completely different mechanism, and it produces a completely different category of result. You do not need to try harder to find peace. You just need to let the science repair the connection. The Genius Switch is not for everyone. It is for the chosen one who understands that God prepared not only the promise, but the mind that must walk into it. It is for the person who has been sincere for years and who is willing to stop treating the mental fog as a character flaw. Most people who hear about this will scroll past because they have accepted the reduced version of their mind as permanent. You are still here, and that is not a coincidence. That is the specific kind of persistence that belongs to the person this restoration was built for. Colleagues suggested this would be an incredible value, even at $500. In-person neurofeedback sessions cost $300 an hour, and home machines cost $7,000. But Dr. Barone released this protocol at $49 to make it accessible to those who need it most. Today, on his official page, there is an additional $10 reduction, making it exactly $39. That includes 4 free bonuses ranging from a guided visualization to a grocery guide that saves you hundreds of dollars a month. It is all backed by an unconditional money-back guarantee. So if it does not do what it has done for 18,000 people, every single dollar is returned with 0 conditions. I need to be clear about something regarding this window of opportunity. Pages like this one have a way of disappearing because information that touches what certain institutions want to keep quiet does not always stay available. If you search online for similar tracks, you will find fakes with no neural sync technology embedded in them. The direct page is the only verified source. The link is live right now, but I cannot promise it will be there forever. Every week your mind stays disrupted is another week. A divine opportunity passes by unrecognized. If your spirit resonates with what has been described, the link in the description below and in the pinned comment points to where his team made it available. The tool does not replace God, and it does not replace your obedience. It does not close the door for you. What God is doing in you is not conditional on any physical tool, but a tool that restores the receiver, gives what God is doing more of what it was designed to land in. A tool can support clarity, but the obedience still belongs to the heart that heaven is forming. And for the chosen one, who felt something stir when the mind was mentioned earlier, that door is still open in the description. It is a small step. But small steps taken from a clear mind have changed entire seasons in the spiritual realm. Now, we must return to the deeper spiritual current of this message to prepare you for the final seal. Place your hand on your heart and take a deep breath right now. Feel the weight of everything you have been carrying slowly begin to lift. Heaven is watching you in this exact moment, and heaven is incredibly proud of the way you have survived. You walked through the dark when you had every right to give up, and you protected your spirit when the enemy tried to break it completely. Now it is time to lay down the armor and step into the peace that was always meant for you. Speak these words out loud with me, and let your spirit hear your physical voice. I release the heavy burdens that were never mine to carry. I let go of the false diagnosis that told me I was broken or failing. I cancel every hidden agreement I made with the enemy when I was too exhausted to fight back. I command the fog to lift, and I command the noise of the world to fall silent right now. I declare that my mind is a sacred vessel designed to hold the absolute clarity of heaven. I am stepping out of the cycle of exhaustion and stepping into the season of accelerated fulfillment. My receiver is being repaired, and my spiritual eyes are opening to the provision God has already placed in front of me. I am a cycle breaker, and the delay ends with me today. Whisper the words I receive right now to seal this decree into your reality. Before you go any further, take a moment to like this video as a physical act of faith. Share this message with someone who has been unusually quiet lately because they might be fighting the exact same fog, and this could be their lifeline. Subscribe to this channel right now, so you do not miss the specific prophetic instructions that heaven will release in the coming days. Now we come to the final door. The door we spoke of earlier that leads to the physical restoration of your mind. It has not moved, and everything waiting behind it is exactly what I described. The genius switch is ready to rebuild the connection in your brain for exactly $39 with a guarantee that costs you absolutely nothing to try and 4 powerful bonuses waiting on the other side. The path to walk through this door is in the description below and in the comment pinned to this video. Both point to the exact same place, and neither one will move if you look for them later. Do not let the enemy convince you to walk back into the confusion when the light has finally been turned on. May the profound peace of the highest heaven rest upon your mind tonight. May you wake up tomorrow feeling lighter and sharper than you have felt in years. You are completely loved, and you are heavily protected. Walk in your divine authority and do not look back.